Hey everybody, this is Patriots Worldwide. Welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm going to talk about our disappointing and frustrating loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars down in London, and then I will give my opinions and predictions for this upcoming matchup against the New York Jets. Without further ado, let's jump right into it and begin. Firstly, I want to quickly apologize, as in last week's episode, I guaranteed a Patriots victory and I was very hopeful and optimistic about a Drake May 4-touchdown performance. Not only was I wrong, but I was also way off. And the one thing that this new era of Patriots football has taught me is to not think with your heart, rather think with your head, and always expect the unexpected going forward. On the bright side, Drake May is continuing to progress and have a very clean game at that as well, with 276 yards through the air, 18 rushing yards on the ground, 2 passing touchdowns and 0 turnovers, and completing 26 passes as well. He's showing that he's a very good rookie quarterback, and we made the right decision by drafting him. Hopefully going forward, he keeps up this progression and avoids injury and keeps his health intact. As the trade deadline rapidly approaches, social media has been buzzing and running wild with speculation and trade scenarios galore. And the big question on everybody's mind is, will the Patriots be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline? And truthfully, I don't think we will be either, as this team seems content with who they have and they want to move forward with. However, I have come up with a few names to be on the trade block and also some potential trades we could make to improve our team, or at least improve it for the future going forward. The first player on my trade block is wide receiver Kendrick Bourne. Now, a move like this will undoubtedly cause a lot of tension amongst the fans and potentially bring a rift in the locker room, as Kendrick is universally loved amongst this fan base and brings a charismatic energy in the locker room, which is good for helping building chemistry going forward. However, Kendrick is not getting any younger, and he's also coming off of a season-ending ACL injury, which I believe occurred 1 year ago or over a year ago, depending on when this episode is uploaded. It happened against the Miami Dolphins in late 2023. The way I see it, Kendrick Bourne is a good suitor for the Las Vegas Raiders, as they just traded away their star receiver and are looking to rebuild. Kendrick's value is still high, so I say why not trade him while we still can. In return, I see us getting the Raiders' 5th-round pick or 6th-round pick, potentially a 4th if we sweeten the bargain. Now, this is not the popular answer amongst the fans, but going forward, you have to think of the team and you have to put personal feelings aside. That's why I think Kendrick Bourne is the first player we should move on from. And if Kendrick Bourne is released or traded before his contract expires in 2 seasons, we will lose $5 million for our cap space. However, coming this offseason, we have over $130 million to spend, so $5 million does not affect that or put a dent in that in the slightest. And a little side note here, I love Kendrick Bourne. He's one of my favorite players and receivers we've had in a very long time. However, when it comes to improving the team, you try to think like a general manager, and you have to put personal feelings aside and leave them out of the equation if it means getting your team to a better position. The way I see it, just rip the Band-Aid off and hope Kendrick has a good career going forward. But besides that, like I said, we just got to do what it takes to make this team better, and if that means losing one of our universally loved players amongst the fan base and the team, then so be it. The second player on my trade block is wide receiver Tyquan Thornton. As we know, he has no skills outside of his speed and acceleration. He can't catch, can't create separation, can't run after the catch, really just can't do anything. So if a team like the New Orleans Saints or the Los Angeles Chargers, who are in desperate need of a wide receiver and are very sold on his speed, I will gladly take a 2095 7th-round draft pick. But no, in all seriousness, if a team is sold on his speed, his value is probably going to be placed just under the 7th round value, maybe like a 6th-round pick, 7th to late 7th. I don't know per se, but he really has no trade value beyond a 7th-round pick in my eyes. Unless Elliott Wolf can somehow finesse and get a 6th-round pick, I will gladly take it, and I think we all would. Sorry, Tyquan, but your time in New England should have been up 2 years ago. And for the record, I have nothing against Tyquan personally. I don't know him from beyond a football field, and he's just not a good player. So I hope on his next team he might be able to hold on to the ball or gains the ability to use his hands in order to catch the ball. But besides that, I just want him off of this team. I want to cleanse us from the misery we've had to witness these past couple of years and just get over the big letdown. I've got a couple more names on our trade block, and I'll get to the third one now. Wide receiver KJ Osborne. He has not been producing as well as we thought he would be, and given this past week before the Jaguars game, there was speculation amongst his agency that he was not going to play or not going to play at the receiver position. There's a lot to get into, but his value, given his age at 27 and his skill set, I'd say we can fish a 5th or a 6th round pick out of him. That is being generous, but the teams that I see interested are probably a reunion to the Vikings if they wanted him, maybe the 49ers, probably Tampa Bay, actually, because they just lost Chris Godwin. Yeah, I hope he goes to a team that can give him more playing time and use his value to their gain, rather. I like KJ. I don't see us moving on from him, but I guess at the same time, just given the circumstance, he might request a trade. So I just hope for the best for him. And I'm glad he did catch a touchdown in the Jacksonville game. That was fun. The next player on my list, and the fourth name on the trade block, comes at a surprise, but I think Ramondre Stevenson could be next on his way out. As we know, he's a very positive player who gains a lot of yards and scores a lot of touchdowns. However, he does have a fumbling problem. While starting, he averaged 1 fumble per game. And as I've mentioned in a previous episode, he has a sure sponsorship with Butterfinger and should be the spokesperson given the fact that he cannot hold on to a ball to save his life. So given that, I think, given his potential, his age, and what he's shown, he could fetch us a potential fourth or potentially a third-round pick, given the teams who are desperate enough. The teams that I see to be most involved would be the New York Giants, as they lost Saquon Barkley and are lacking a running back, especially a running back that has power potential. I see the Minnesota Vikings, if they lose out on Aaron Jones this upcoming offseason. The final two teams I can see making an offer for Ramondre Stevenson are the Carolina Panthers, as they may be potentially very thin at running back this upcoming offseason. And the final team, which are considerably a dark horse, are the Dallas Cowboys, as Ezekiel Elliott has not been producing to the way they want him to, and the fact that they lack a power back, Ramondre makes the perfect candidate for that role, and he can also try to carry the load as he wants to, but he'll have a better chance there in Dallas than he does here in New England. And the first player I can see the Patriots trading for is running back Miles Sanders from the Carolina Panthers. As we know, he was a very dominant force on the Philadelphia Eagles, but since leaving the Eagles, his career has not been panning out the way it should be. I say if we can potentially offer Tyquan Thornton and a 6th-round pick, or even a pick swap for, like, say, a 6th-round pick and Antonio Gibson if we really wanted to, or even Mondre, like a trade package, but Miles Sanders would make a good Patriot. I am not against it, and I think he would benefit here because he'd get more carries and he'd be able to revive his career on a rebuilding team and a team that has a much brighter future than Carolina does. Another player the Patriots could look for as a potential shot in the dark, but also a reunion for wide receiver Jacoby Myers from the Las Vegas Raiders, as the Raiders are clearly rebuilding and want to get as many picks or players going forward. Why not entertain the Kendrick Bourne offer with Kendrick Bourne and a potential 4th or 5th-round pick, depending on what they want? But Myers would make a great safety blanket for Drake May, as he was very reliable for Cam Newton and Mac Jones. So why not try why not try Jacoby? Granted, I don't think it's going to happen, but just a name to throw out there as a potential pick that's not unlikely. Why not? Another offensive guard we should look at for the Minnesota Vikings, backup Scott Kissenberry, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's fairly good, a little older, but that leadership and veteran presence is what we're lacking on the line right now, so why not give him a chance, maybe try to swing like a 6th-round pick, or KJ Osborne if they want to entertain that. And 2 wild cards that the Patriots could trade for, which I really don't see happening, hence why they're wild cards, is Texas wide receiver John Mechie, Texans wide receiver. He was drafted in 2022, but unfortunately missed his rookie season due to a diagnosis of leukemia, but thankfully he is recovered and he is playing football. However, given Houston's really extremely deep wide receiver room, Mechie does not really have a chance to shine or prove himself by climbing up the depth chart. As much as he really is unproven, why not take a chance on him and see where we go? My last wild card, and overall I give this like a 2% chance of even happening, could be Jordan Addison of the Minnesota Vikings, as he seems very unhappy in his current situation and potentially wants to be proven as a wide receiver 1. Playing behind Justin Jefferson, it's fairly likely that he is a wide receiver 1, but is being overshadowed by the best player in the league. Best receiver in the league, I should say. Granted, I don't think it's going to happen, but you never know. And also, 2 names that I want to bring up that have been floating around social media and potentially on the trade block are wide receivers T. Higgins and Cooper Kupp, both from the Cincinnati Bengals and Los Angeles Rams, respectively. The thing with Higgins, he is a free agent this offseason, and the Bengals seemingly do not have enough money to retain him now, and given the Bengals' current situation, it doesn't seem like Higgins wants to be there, given that they are most likely going to miss the postseason barring a late-season run, and Higgins also wants to prove that he's not a product of Jamar Chase and wants to be a wide receiver 1, as every receiver does. I say if the Patriots let him hit the market, go after him and take the chance in a bidding war. But with Cooper Kupp, he is a older slot receiver, a position we really don't need. But a lot of people were putting that online, so I figured I'd talk about it. I don't think it's going to happen, especially after having a great bounce back game against the Minnesota Vikings this past Thursday. But you never know. Just something I wanted to talk about. Do any of these trades that I've mentioned happen? Probably not. And do any of the Patriot trade targets I've mentioned as KB, Taekwon, etc., did any of them get moved? Probably not. But we'll see what happens. That's what predictions are about. The Jets-Patriots rivalry is always a fun one to watch, especially if you're a fan of either team. Given the unfortunate circumstance and the sad state the Patriots are in, I do not expect us to win this game at all, losing 31-19. If the Jets do beat us, this will be the first time they've swept the Patriots since the 2000 season and the second time under Robert Kraft's tenure as owner. What I sadly expect to happen is the Patriots will take an early lead and then immediately lose momentum and have it all snatched away from us just like the Jaguars did to us last week. The only bright spot about this game, and quite frankly the only reason why we tune in, is to watch Drake May, as he's the only reason why this team is watchable in the first place. I expect him and the offense to muster up 1 or 2 touchdowns and a couple of field goals and then ultimately call it a day. What I expect for Drake is just to keep going, keep progressing, and showcasing why he's the franchise quarterback that we need, and that's the only positive that this team has going forward. I also really want him to score a rushing touchdown, as he has yet to really showcase his rushing ability, something that we've lacked in the quarterback category for many years now. Also, a little side note here, Drake May has publicly stated that Aaron Rodgers is his favorite quarterback, and he widely considers Aaron to be the greatest quarterback of all time, so why not try to upstage him? But overall, it is what it is, and unfortunately I think Aaron Rodgers reverts back to his 2015 self and really carves up this defense like he did to the NFC North all the years that he reigned supreme. To be 100% honest, this shouldn't be a thing, but where there is delusion, there is hope. The keys to victory for this week is simple, at least delusionally. Make sure Drake May has a good game, protect him, and create openings for him to run. Get the offense in Joey Sly's range as much as possible, as he will be the biggest contributor to our points. Most likely will go that way, as it always seems to have been going that way all year. Javon Baker will be active for the first time this season, so hopefully he gets a couple of snaps and makes a quick impression and earns Drake's trust so he can be a continuous threat going forward. And for the defense, I would love Christian Gonzalez to get a pick off of Garrett Wilson, as he didn't last time, and he was really close to getting one. So hopefully the secondary does its job and contains an Aaron Rodgers showcase as much as they can. And if the pass rush decides to wake up, they can take care of Aaron Rodgers as well, because that Jets O-line is very, very inconsistent. But otherwise, those are my keys to victory. All right, given the length of this episode, I think I've said everything I wanted to say and gone over everything I wanted to go over. Thank you all so much for listening, and I look forward to doing this all again next week as we take on the Tennessee Titans down in Nashville. And I really appreciate those who stuck out this whole episode. I know it was a long one, but I really did have a lot to say. And for the Jets matchup, let's just enjoy it no matter how obvious the outcome might be, because this will be the last time we face the Jets until next season, and it's always fun to face a division rival. And yeah, I hope you guys all have a good day or night, depending on whenever you're listening to this. Let's just go out there this weekend, have fun, and hope the offense has a good game, and hope Drake May continues to have a great game going forward. Go Pats.
Go Pats!